Hello everybody. All right, so last time we camped in the fall, woke up in the morning with no 12-volt power to the coach. So our water pump was dead, well, dying, and the lights were super dim, and we couldn't figure out exactly what was wrong with it. And it turns out the power converter, which converts the shore power to 12 volts, it died during the night. And it's like 30 years old. Of course, it's gonna die after being run, 24 hours a day for who knows how many years, charging the batteries for us. So it's springtime now, and I am ready to try to change out the old power converter and upgrade it. I have here an Intelli-Power 9200, okay? And I bought this from an RV electrical shop in Ohio here. And so this is what they recommended. I got an open box, and so I got a good deal on it. It's an upgraded charger, much better than the one that was included in the RV originally back in the 90s. And so hopefully this thing will do a nice job charging our batteries up and will go in easily. But I'm going to open the box, show you what's inside, and then kind of walk you through my steps of replacing the battery converter here. So here's what's inside the box when you buy it. I haven't gone through it yet. This is the first time. On top, I have an Intelli-Power remote pendant. I don't know what that does yet. I'm sure I'll find out. Looks interesting. Nice, somewhat thick set of instructions here. Handy to have a nice instruction book. And here's the power converter rather, itself. It's very different than the one that is included in the RV, because the one that's included in the RV, I mean, it's like mounted into the case. And I'll show you what I mean. This is just a deck mount. There's a couple positive and negative terminals here. On the back side, there's like no connections at all. This is just a cord to plug into the RV. And I think that's it. I mean, box is empty now. So here's what it looks like underneath the seat where the old converter is. Here's the old converter. It's very different than the new one. It has actually a couple of, looks like 110 volt breakers there, air conditioning and stuff. Not exactly sure how I'm going to deal with that. Here's the 12 volt stuff here. That red wire and the white wire go all the way up front to the batteries, which I've disconnected, by the way. Oh, but it's very different than the one I'm putting in. In the back here, this is easy. This just plugs in here. Okay, that powered the whole unit, I believe, from 110. And here's a cooling fan, which I won't need because the new unit has a cooling fan. Here's a ground, which is good, but I'm not exactly sure what all these extra wires are doing here. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull the old unit out from under the seat here and see what kind of wiring I find as I pull it out. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do here, and there's like no good way to get the camera down here. It's right between, the dining room seat. And by the way, excuse the torn up wallpaper. We had a leak in the window, and it destroyed all this wallpaper here. So that's going to be another project that I got to do. All right, first thing I'm going to do. And by the way, like I said, I disconnected everything. There's no power, 12 volt power or 110 power to this, so I know I'm okay working on it. I disconnected that first. Pretty important. I've sparked lots of things in my time, and I hate it. All right, I'm going to start taking these panels off. Actually, I think I'm just going to pull. There's a Phillips head and a Phillips head. I'm just going to pull these out and see if the whole unit just kind of pulls right out. Thankfully, these are just coming out, nothing stripped. Yep, looks like it just pulls right out. Well, that's good. kind of heavy. All right, so this whole bunch of wires here on top looks like it goes right down to the cooling fan. Get a better view here. Here's a cooling fan, which I bought off of eBay actually a couple months ago because the old cooling fan had gone bad. This just pulls right out of there. And there's a whole, and that's like this giant bunch of wires coming out of the top here. And it just goes down to the cooling fan. So that's good. I wasn't sure where those were. And this really just looks like, here's the plug. It powers the whole thing. Right? That's this giant bundle of wires coming out of the bottom. And the only other connections I see on the back of this thing are the ground, which I'm happy to see that there's a ground here, a nice big thick copper ground. The negative 12 volt and the positive 12 volt, which run to the batteries. That looks great. That's all good. I'm really happy to see this, because I think the install is going to take like all of 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the 12 volt batteries from this unit. Alright, so looking on the back, and the ground looks like it runs right into the case somewhere. I was really hoping to see that, you know, it just had a connector on the back I could unscrew, but it doesn't. So I'm going to have to find out where this goes into the unit and disconnect it from the front. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make things easy on myself. There's a coupler right here. I'm just going to disconnect it right here. Disconnect this. Alright, here's battery negative, and this is battery positive, the red coming in here. Disconnect that. Positive, negative, and this thing is disconnected now. Oh. But there, now it's disconnected. So I'm ready to start the install now. Okay. On top of this, there are Allen wrenches that are needed to that are tightened down to hold the wires. 5/32 Allen wrench. And I'm just going to go for it here. Here's my positive. Here's a positive. See the red. Okay. So I'm going to loosen the set screw. That's in. Nice. And I'll tighten the positive down. And now I'll run the negative. It's weird that they did white for negative, you know? Like in any car, black is always negative. And I'll tighten it down. Snug. There it is. That feels good. That feels good. That should be all the connections needed on this end. Now I'll connect the ground. There. It's in there. So now I'm going to hook up the Intelli-Power remote pendant, and it gives me the status of how the batteries are charging. There's a little light in the wizard's hand there that flashes and lets me know how the charging is going. And I can also go through the different charging modes this thing has. So I'm going to hook this thing up now too. So I'm going to go ahead and with my multimeter, make sure that I have a good connection to the battery. So, gonna make sure that showing 12 volts up here. It does not show a good connection to the battery. Shows 0.15 volts. I'm going to see what's going on up with the batteries. Make sure the batteries have charge on them, which they should. So I've done a little investigation, and I discovered why the batteries are completely flat. At some point in the past couple weeks, one of my kids had come in here and turned on one of the 12-volt lights and drained the batteries totally to 0 volts, like 0.15 volts. And so hopefully the batteries aren't killed. I have my battery charger. I did not use this Intelli-Power to charge my batteries. I have a automotive battery charger that I'm using now to gently charge the batteries out front. So we'll give it maybe a day or so to charge those, and I'll come back and see if they're able to hold a charge or not. And after that, we'll see if the Intelli-Power works. That's it. Okay, it's the following day now. It's taken like 24 hours to charge these batteries. It's cooled off a lot. You see I'm wearing like a down vest. A big storm blew through and soaked everything, but here's what I did. I had to hook up battery charger to the coach batteries. Get a better view here. Had to hook up the battery charger here to the coach batteries. Let's see if I can. And charge it. It took like 24 hours to charge these things. They were that totally flat. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the charger and hook up the battery converter to verify that I did everything right. Okay, so I'm back inside now, and I put the multimeter on the batteries up front, and it read like 12.9 volts, which is good. That's what you want it to read. And I came inside here for the first time today, and I saw this. Let's see if we can see that. See the blinking little light? Hard to see. Okay, that's new. So it's getting power up here. So I know that the converter is receiving power. I'm going to put the multimeter now on the converter. We should see like 12.7 volts up here because there's a little bit of current loss. Our voltage drop going all the way from the front of the RV back here. All right. I want to see like 12.7 volts. Oh, it's even better. 12.93 volts. So it tells me I hooked up the wires correct. And I'm going to go ahead and plug the RV into the shore power of the house here. So I plugged the RV into shore power now. I'm just going to make sure that I'm getting 120 volts out of the outlet. Change the multimeter to AC. Just want to make sure I'm getting the right power out of the outlet. Yep. 119 volts, 118 volts. Good enough. Alright guys, moment of truth here. We're going to plug the inverter or the converter in. See what happens. See if it makes a noise. See if it beeps or something. It's doing nothing. Doesn't sound like anything. And I kind of thought it wouldn't too, because I mean, why should it? The batteries are in good shape. I'm going to hook the multimeter up. I'm going to see what kind of juice we're getting out of the batteries. Aha! There's the difference, guys. 13.3 volts going to the batteries right now. Remember when I hooked it up there a couple minutes ago, it was reading like 12.7 or 12.8 or something like that. So I know the converter's sending juice to the batteries up front because it's reading 13 volts. Doing its job. The little wizard is flashing. It's hard to see, but it is flashing. I'm going to say that was a successful install. Alright guys, there was my install of the Intelli-Power 9200. into my RV. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful to somebody. See you guys.